Alright, what is up, guys? So, been asked a lot about this recently, and I was planning on making a video, just kind of want to get my, initial playtime into the patch. So, the big question everyone's been asking is, what do I think about, the patch? How do I feel about it? What do I like? What do I dislike? That type of thing. And I will start off by saying, like, I'm going to go into depth on this, I think, pretty well. But I'll start off by saying, I generally think that these are some of the best changes they've ever added. I don't think they could. I think the only thing compared, like the level of enjoyment I've had, and I think the how good it is for the game. I think the only thing comparable to the changes they've made this wipe was the addition of the marketplace. I think that is the only thing that is even remotely comparable in my mind. Continuous dungeon system, like how it's requeuing, how you can queue in like whatever you want, how you can skip floors, the gem socketing, all of those. I think they are fantastic. I mean, yes, I know it was a little bit of a rocky start with the sorcerer being really broken and the spawns being messed up. Other than that, though, I think this is probably the best wipe they've ever had. And I think, like I said, I think this is fantastic. I think the stuff that is in the game is absolutely amazing. Not saying it's perfect, because yes, there is a lot of tweaking they could do. They even mentioned themselves. They said they were trying it really, or they had things set really aggressively. So I'm assuming people spawning in and stuff like that. But even with what it is now, like if it did not change from how it is now, I would still be satisfied with these systems. Even if I think there is room for improvement, I think they were fantastic. And like I said, that is like my general idea of it. However, to get a little bit more specific, let's take off, or let's start off the continuous dungeon, right? So it has pros and cons. I think they all do. I think the pros heavily outweigh the cons for most of these systems, because there's nothing you add in that's going to be perfect. But continuous dungeon, you look at it, and I think the biggest thing about it is you can go straight down to any floor you want to, which means you can go straight to Inferno, you can go straight to Crypts, you can do whatever you want, right? Like you can fight on whatever maps you want to, play whatever maps you want to, do whatever boss you want to, because you can go down and do it. You can go down and go to that map. Like if you want to do only Ghost King, you can sprint straight to Inferno effectively. If you want to do Spectral Knight, spawn in Ruins, do it, leave. And I think that's really good. And I know a lot of people have had kind of differing opinions. They're like, oh, I don't think red should be open this early. I don't think blue should be open this early, because, you have people that are running away from you and stuff like that. However, that was kind of their intention with it, was to make it so the game doesn't feel so forced for PvP. Or you're not forced to fight, I should say. Not forced for PvP. Because if you want to, you can always run away and take a blue, right? You spawn in, and I think one big thing that people are complaining about is, oh, I spawn in, the game's half over. What's the point? Well, if you do that, you can just go to a blue and leave, it's not really that big a deal. Like you don't, you're not forced to stay in that lobby. It's not like, oh, I queued up and this lobby is entirely dead. Like, why am I here? Like, what am I doing? You can okay, cool. Like you can just leave and queue up into another lobby, and the problem's solved. It's not really that big a deal. And I feel like a lot of people aren't doing that necessarily, and I don't really understand why. I don't see the logic behind disliking it. Like I said, yeah, if maybe there are going to be some times when it happens multiple times in a row, and if it does, here 1 second, I just want to pull up some I'll always pull up gameplay of from the past day or two, so you guys can watch instead of just sitting here on the home screen. There you go. But yeah, and like I said, I could see sometimes it might be kind of frustrating when it happens, just because it's it's tedious or whatever, oh, I have to queue back up because my lobby's dead. Or you could also just go down, and even if you lose time, you waste a minute or two of your time. And I would much prefer that than dead lobbies, which I think that is the best part of the continuous dungeon, is you do not have dead lobbies. And something else a lot of people complained about is the non-stop fighting. It's oh, I queue up at the beginning of the game and I'm just fighting people constantly for the next 3 minutes, because people are spawning back at you kill people, they spawn in, you kill people, they spawn in, you kill somebody, and that same person can queue back into the dungeon and fight you again. I've had that happen, and I'm sure many of you have too. And I think these are the major complaints. However, there are workarounds to all of these. If you don't want to have to sit there and fight people nonstop, then just chill for the first few minutes of the game. Just loot a module or two. After I think 4 or 5 minutes or whatever, people can't rejoin the lobby. So after that time, you can kill people and they're not rejoining. Yeah, there's gonna be people on the lower floors, but for that floor, you are clearing it out. And that's kind of what I've learned to do. When I was first leveling, when the wipe started, we fought on Ruins and we were killing a bunch of people, and we literally killed 20 people, and they just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. And I was like, okay, we just can't do this, bro. We just cannot fight early, because if we don't, then they don't respawn, right? Like, you don't bring new people in if you don't kill the people that are already there. So whenever the timer's done, you can start killing them, and like I said, they don't rejoin. And that's the same thing for Crypts, or the same thing for Inferno. I think Inferno is like the really big one, because Inferno now you have a lot more teams. It's 4x4, and you know there's just it's really hard to boss. A lot of people are like, oh, you know, I can't do boss. There's too many teams, or you know, whatever. And I don't necessarily think that's the case. You just can't do it in the first like two, unless you can insta kill the boss, which you can. And when I was playing last night with Chulo, like in this video here, we do the boss plenty of times on spawn, even for Crypts. Right time we find it, we just do it really fast and kill it, and then we just fight people after if they decide to push us. Especially with the new portal that's in Inferno. Like, you know, if you kill the boss, a portal will open up in the middle, or that you can open up in the middle will activate, and then you can leave. So you can kill the boss, instantly open the portal, grab the loot, and dip if you really want to, if you get something good. Like, it's not really that much of a, you know, hassle in my mind. And, like, yeah, you know, you could get griefed on the boss, but that's something you always run the risk of, right? Like, I don't think a good complaint is, oh, I don't like that I can't boss because there are people down there, right? Because realistically, even if there was one other team in hell, like, you know, let's think last wave, like a 3x3. If there is one other team in hell, you run the risk of getting griefed on the boss the same way as if there's 10 other teams. Like, you know, maybe it's not gonna, like, to the, you know, the right magnitude, but the thing is, even in all of my games, most of the time, even if there's people down there, they just watch us do the boss and they grief us after. They won't try to kill you doing the boss. And if they do, just walk out. Like, there is no boss that you can't just run away from. I mean, maybe if you get in a really bad spot, you've got like a Lich Orb on you or something, or, you know, like a Lich Purple, but, I mean, you know, that's the risk you run when you boss. Like, I don't think these things should be free. I think they should be risky. You should have to, like, you know, be worried, like, oh, am I gonna get third party? Is somebody gonna come in and they're gonna grief me doing this? Like, you know, things like that. Like, I think it's good. I think it's healthy. I don't like this system of, like, everybody's just doing everything for free. Like, there's no worry. Like, you spawn down in hell and you just, your entire team gets to split up and walk around because no one's scared, because chances are there's no one even down there with you, right? Like, I don't particularly like that. Then, I mean, moving on from that topic, onto Crypts, right? Which is kind of weird to get Inferno to Crypts, but onto Crypts, we have the, as you see here on the bottom right, we have the Fog of War, and we have the random modules. So, I have really, really liked this so far. If nothing else, I like not knowing what I'm doing, as stupid as that sounds. Like, just spawning in, you know, before you spawned in, you're like, okay, we're going here, alright, we're gonna go here, or we're gonna go here, whatever. Now, I kind of just spawn in and I move around the map. Right? Like, I'll go looking for the boss room usually. But other than that, like, I'll just take loot as I go. I'm like, oh, what's this room? Okay, this is here. What's this room? This is here. And, like, you kind of just move around the map and you look for things. It's fun. It definitely adds to that, like, dungeon crawling experience. It feels better. It doesn't just feel like I'm queuing into, like, a solved puzzle, right? Because I think that's like one of the best ways to describe it. Before, it was like somebody hands you a puzzle that's already solved, and it's just a matter of looking at it and saying, like, you know, calling what it is. Right? Like, it's like getting a Rubik's Cube, and you just have to look at the sides and say what color each side is because they're already solved. Versus getting one that you have to solve it yourself. And that's obviously going to be way more enjoyable, I think. And then the Fog of War, I like it to an extent. I think it probably needs to be a little bit bigger. Just a little bit, not a ton. I know I saw some people say they think it should be, whenever you walk into a room, it automatically discovers that module. I don't know. I'm kind of like, I think that's a little bit much. I think you could just expand the AoE a tiny bit so you can see some of the rooms around you, like, or just like kind of what the room is around you. I don't like the idea of I have to run up to every single door and check that door. Like, I've got to run up, poke my head through the door. Okay, what's this? Walk away. Run up, poke my head through the door. Okay, what's this? Walk away. It's just kind of tedious. But overall, I think it's a really good system, and I think whenever they add this to other maps, it's going to be even better. Because, like I said, it changes the way you play the game. It's not just spawn rush, boss rush, you know, do all this. I actually have to move around the map. I'm looking for something. It actually feels like you're in a dungeon, which is one of the best parts of the game. And then I think the last thing I really want to talk about for now is gem socketing. That's the other, like, you know, big system that was added in this wipe. And so like, once again, this is a very, like, I think pros outweigh the cons of it. So gem socketing allows you to get really, really good gear really, really easily. And the pros of that is everybody has access to good gear. Like, you can build, you know, you can literally get a 4 on-rolled legendary item for pennies, effectively. Like, you can get a literal piece of gear for 2,000 to 3,000 gold, something that would normally cost, you know, 10,000, 20,000. And honestly even more than that sometimes, because you could also do it with uniques, because if you guys don't know, there are unique rarity treasures now that can spawn. So in theory, you could bisroll your uniques with those treasures, which is, you know, very interesting, I think. But so getting back to the gem socketing thing, I like that you can change the rolls of your gear. I just don't think it should be to the level that like you currently can. Because the thing is, like, let me pause this video really quick and pull up my game again. So, you know, let's go take so let's go to the goldsmith and let's take, like, where's it at? Like this right here, for example, right? Like I could swap something here and you can look at the rolls, right? Like 1 to 1.2 1.2% action speed. This would only normally roll 1.5% max, I believe. I'm not 100% on that actually, but just don't quote me. Hold on, I can check. Or yeah, I mean that's 1.5%. We're just gonna call it 1.5%. Or even if it let's say in some crazy world. Or okay, here this is a great example, right? Because fizz damage rolls up, I think, to 3%. I have to check that. Hold on. I think it's 3%. Maybe it's 2.5. Let's check damage. Fizz damage bonus. Static attribute. Weapon damage. Or not. Wait, nope. Oops. Let's see. So it's 2.5 or yeah, it's 2. Okay. So it's 2.5, right? It's 2.5. So looking back at this. So this right here can roll up to a maximum of 2.2. You know, so if I found the item in the dungeon, I could get 0.3% fizz damage bonus higher than what I could get in theory if I just gem it. Right? Like you see, even here, like this is the natural roll was 1.7. I could roll higher than that if with the gem. Obviously, I'm not going to put it on there, but I could get it. And there are some rolls, like weapon damage, for example, where this is only ever going to roll 1 on this weapon. So no matter what, this can't be better. I could always just put this on, and weapon damage is the most valuable roll. Or something like, you know, a ring, or yeah, like a ring here. Like let's say I want to put true damage on this, wherever it is. Oh wait, sorry, I have to click this one. I want to put true damage on this. Once again, this can only ever roll 1 true damage, so I can put the best possible piece on here, and I don't lose anything for it, right? That's weird. And that's where the issue lies, where it becomes like, at what point do you have to look at the gear and realize, okay, maybe it's just too easy to get good gear? Because the problem is like I could get, you know, I could get a 4 dead stat legendary, buy 4 gems or find 4 gems, and I could put 4 perfect rolls on that. Like, yeah, maybe they're slightly worse, but not by much. You know, like I believe the gems they end up being like somewhere around like 80 to 85% efficiency of the natural roll itself. If it has a level it could roll, like I mentioned, true damage, weapon damage, things like that, they only roll 1 roll. So if you put it on there, you can't lose anything. So that brings me to the like, you know, why are you bringing this up? Like, what do you mean by this? Like, why are you saying these obvious things? I think gems need to be changed. I think there's a couple things they need to do. One, a possibility is you make it so there's less rolls that can be gemmed. Because the most valuable rolls, which is funny enough, are the things that are, you know, that are like, they're easy to roll, like true damage. True damage or, what's the other one? Oh, like weapon damage. Those are 2 of the most valuable rolls on gear. Whether it's your weapon, your jewelry, whatever. Those are generally the most valuable rolls. And those are the ones that are the easiest to get. Like, yes, the gem is the most expensive because of it, but those are the ones that, you know, you don't have a penalty for. It's not like you roll half a weapon damage as opposed to 1 or something like that. If you roll weapon damage in the dungeon or you put it on there as a gem, it's always going to be the same value. So you either limit these to make it more, like, you know, valuable when you find it in, or I think the better thing, limit how many gems can be put on an item. I said this for a long time. I don't think, like, I think 1 gem is all you should be able to put on an item. Because whenever you get more, it just becomes a little bit ridiculous in my mind. To the point it's like what's the point of finding an item in the dungeon when I could literally, or, you know, like finding a good item in the dungeon when I can literally just go buy a 4 dead stat legendary and put every single roll I want on it, right? It makes it so it's not quite to where patch 69 was, where like it doesn't feel good to loot, but it doesn't feel good enough in my mind because I'm like, oh cool, I don't like cool, this has 3 good rolls. I mean, I could just go gem this, right? Like, it's not that big a deal. And I just, like I said, I just don't really like that. I've already seen kits that are, like, full legendary kits. Every single piece is, like, on roll, like, BIS rolls. Like, I'm talking, like, some end of the wipe full BIS kit day 1. Just because they got the legendary items and then put the gems on there. And I just, like I said, I don't think that's good. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, Like, you know, it helps like the new players get good gear, but I feel like it takes away like the enjoyment of getting that good gear because you're not like finding it, you're just kind of making it yourself, you know. And and it's not like you really did anything. Like you could literally go in the market. You could go in the market right now, buy 3 purple gems for 600 gold, buy a dead stated purple item, and have a 3-rolled perfect purple item for 700 gold total. And it's like, that's not fun. But if you find that in the dungeon, like, that's really fun. That's enjoyable. That's like a good experience. So anyways, yeah, I definitely think that system needs to change a little bit. And then lastly, I want to move back to the dungeon thing, 'cause I forgot to mention something. So what I think they need to do, like, I think the continuous dungeon's really good. I think the respawning is good. However, I think there are 2 things they need to do. One, you probably need to limit how many teams can join at a time. Like, make it so a team can only join once every, like, 30 seconds. Or you limit the window for when they can join, right? Like, instead of it being the first, like, half of the dungeon or whatever, you make it, like, the first 2 minutes. But I think it would definitely fix a lot of the frustration if people couldn't join so rapidly or for so long. Because that's really what it feels like, bro. It feels like you're playing, like, Terraria Calamity and you just popped, like, a Battle Potion and a Zerg Potion. Like, you just have people coming out of everywhere. They're just filling the lobby. Like, I'm talking some Blood Moon, Battle Potion, Zerg Potion, water, what's it called, Water Candle. Like, it is crazy how many people pop up whenever you start killing them really fast. And, I mean, I think with the spawns fix, it definitely helps it a little bit, but I think they definitely could do a little bit more tweaking. But generally, like I said, I think this is one of the best wipes we have ever had, and this is a very, very rare Iron Mace W. But with that being said, that is going to wrap it up for me. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Feel free to leave your thoughts and opinions down below, as always, and I will catch you guys next time. Peace.